Okay, so yeah, it's recording now. Um, okay, so first, what did you do for your physical domain intervention assignment that we had?
Our group project, we did nutrition
Mhm.
for ages, and it was nutrition and obesity for ages 2 to 5.
Okay.
So we just talked a lot about the different food groups that you should eat from, and to try and stay away from fats and oils, and just limit your amount of sugar intake. And we talked about making meals fun for kids, like using cookie cutters when you're making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so they have fun shapes. And if you're feeding them like fruit and vegetables, like try to make, I don't know, kind of a picture out of it so it looks fun. And then we talked about obesity and just being active and the risks of that. And they were a couple different sources that we had. They were saying that obesity just isn't just a childhood thing. It was saying it's more of a family problem. So if the whole family can make it a goal to be healthier, then in the long run, children will be able to maintain that healthy lifestyle into adulthood.
Yeah, that's cool. We did like a fact sheet for parents, and we did fine motor skills for kids, and we talked about like we kind of made up an issue and just said like they can't use scissors, and kind of just like talked about like different interventions they can use to um to help, like it was for parents, so like different interventions they could use to like help the kid work on that. And we did 2 to 5 year olds.
Mm-hmm.
And so like we talked about like how playing with Play-Doh, like squeezing it, like helps strengthen their finger muscles, and like ripping paper practices hand-eye coordination, and like manipulation games like pick up sticks or like Connect Four, like gets a kid like working with precision and stuff. And those are all ways to help it. And like how it, we talked about how like this type of problem is like really big because it affects like their confidence and like their work in the classroom and like how they like see themselves kind of. So just like it's important to like support the child and not let them feel ashamed by like what they can or cannot do, and just like how it's hard.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Okay.
Awesome.
Um, so describe the social/emotional domain intervention that you researched this week. State whether you've actually implemented the intervention personally to address the identified problem. If so, discuss how effective the intervention was. If not, discuss the research or other evidence assessing the effectiveness of the intervention. So, so what did you research? What social or emotional domain?
I just did sharing and like with peers and sharing attention with parents.
Yeah.
Um, and it talked when I used my book for my other class that I have to do a lot of research in, but it was saying that temperament's a big thing when it comes to the 2 to 5 year old range, and kind of how the parents are as well. If they're it talked about like if they're depressed or and they're not really super involved with the kids and they're just kind of, I don't know, out of it, then the children, they kind of they overreact and they don't use their words. They don't, they just kind of overreact. And some children are more laid back, and some aren't. And so I don't know. I like on the discussion board post last night, like I was saying, like the good thing about sharing is that children, they learn how to communicate, and they have to think about other people, try to think about other people's feelings. And I'm trying to remember what else I was. But yeah, so just an intervention I think would be just the parents making time for the children, actually listening to what the problem is, and being there, and like not being stuck on your phone, or um, or just being distracted. And if you help the children like say what they're feeling, like, and use like emotion words more, it's supposed to help them with sharing.
Yeah. That's cool.
That's about it.
Um, okay, so I did unstable home environment, and well, I like first chose this topic because so I'm in Ed 241 right now. It's like early practicum, and so I go into a first grade classroom every Monday and Wednesday and help out, and like I've seen the kids that have bad behaviors, and like I've had a great upbringing. Like I was super blessed, and like like I had a great home environment. So I just like had never like seen how like having such a bad home environment can affect you. And like some of these kids, like one, he has really bad like anger problems and stuff, and like his mom's like having another baby and like has all these little kids at home, and he just doesn't get much attention. He just like doesn't have that good home environment that he needs, and like he acts up so much in class. And like this other kid was in foster care at a young age, and like now I think he's in a good stable home, but it like has really affected him, and he has like a lot of problems sometimes and like just breakdowns in class. And so like I read about how like just like not having that security and that like comfort can really like mess up a kid even when they're like at school and they have that stability. Like it's like really hard to like trust it and like like just feel comfortable, and like they often act out because like they don't get attention at home, so they get attention at school. And like it talked about really the importance of having two parents at home and like really the support that you need for that, and
Yeah.
like how much that really affects kids. And like a lot of the interventions, like obviously like parents can't really intervene because they're like the ones that are doing the problem. A lot of times extended families like should help, and like counseling and therapy. um like I know from personal, like from what I've like learned, is like teachers a lot of times are the ones that notice like that kids are really having a hard time, and they're the ones that should intervene. Or like just like any adult figure in a kid's life who's not their parents, because obviously their parents can't do anything, are like should help. So mainly just like counseling programs are what can get the kid through it though, and like therapy and stuff.
Oh, okay. So I bet that's hard in a classroom to see that. I mean, and I'm sure you don't want to like punish them and single them out because I'm sure it makes it worse. I mean, like, what do you have to do to help them in class?
Yeah, well, my teacher, the one kid with a lot of anger issues, like she has to talk to him and like just tries to do the best she can. Like he just is so bad, and he's like really smart, so he like knows what he can and can't do, so that's kind of scary. um he just like knows when he can get away with stuff and when he can't. And I just tried to watch how like she disciplined him, and like you just really have to like talk to him and just be like, hey, that's not right. Like, and like there's nothing like that she can do about his home life. Like she just knows that's like how it is. And like she tries to like help him and be there for him and stuff. And like the other kid who was in foster care who just like randomly has these freakouts, like we just have to like be really patient with him and like try to like talk to him like really like caringly. And like sometimes like it works and he'll like calm down and like be ready to do his work, and other times like we just can't, like we have to send to the principal. And that like um that like sorry that calms him down and stuff. Like I think an authority figure, he realizes, really like affects him. So seeing that,
Yeah.
it like depends.
It almost seems like you kind of have to treat those children's almost not quite as special needs, not that drastic, but almost you have to treat
Yeah,
them different, and you have to know their background so you can get them to learn.
for
And
sure. Yeah, you need to like have
crazy.
accommodations for them and like figure out, like you can't have like really specific ones, but like you have to know as a teacher like what they can or can't do
Yeah,
and really
crazy.
work on it. So yeah, it's just crazy to see how other kids' lives are so, just like what.
Yeah, it's crazy how you can pick up on that so quickly. Um,
Yeah. Um, so what did you learn in your domain interviews?
okay, so I don't know if well, like for the person I interviewed for the 2 to 5, I don't know if she like really understood like what I was asking her. So I kind of thought her answers were a little weird.
Yeah.
So do you want me to just go over the whole thing, like
Do
my
you have
whole
like any
interview?
highlights that really stood out to you? I don't know. It just says share highlights from the domain interviews you conducted with caregivers during lesson 10.
Okay. Well, like I said, for social and emotional, the only thing she gave me was sharing attention.
Mm-hmm.
And so she said, just to make sure that kids know that the parents love them and give them attention like when they can. So like she's the person I interviewed, she has 3 kids and her oldest is 4 and her youngest is 1. And so she's really busy all the time. And so sometimes, sometimes all at the same time, her kids need attention. And so she has to tell her kids, just a minute, like I have to help this person first, and then she comes back and she comes to the other kids. So she always tries to make time to give attention to her kids, even if it's not right when they specifically want it.
Yeah.
Let me see what else. And yeah, I don't know. That's pretty much the highlight for this week.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the other person I interviewed, like I said, I didn't realize that they needed to be one age range for both people I interviewed. So I did one for like the other person I interviewed was for the 6 to 11-year-old range. And so socially, the risks that they're dealing with, she has 2 kids in this age range. They're actually, the risks are internet and porn and violence and bullying. And so that's what they talked about. And they said that it's really important for parents to not be ignorant, that, they have to know the risks that children are going through. They have to communicate with their kids and educate them, because if the parents don't, then obviously then they will learn it somewhere else from other people. And then they're learning these different things and they don't know what's right and wrong, what's okay. And so socially, I think and emotionally, they have to just teach their kids and be on top of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah, their big thing in their family is to include others. So they always want I think they focus a lot on the bullying issue. So they've seen other kids in their school that deal with that issue, and so they, like in their morning prayers, they always say, bless that they can find, help a kid to be included and to, find other kids to make them happy. So that was their big thing.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
So is that all for yours?
Yeah.
Okay. So for mine, I interviewed for 6 to 11. And one big thing that like they talked about is like kind of for social and emotional is the importance of like making good friends. And like I think it's a big part, like bullying occurs and everything and like all that stuff, but I think it's important for kids to, like at that age, like picking good friends who like don't influence them to like bully or don't influence them to like act up in class or whatever. And so I think that's a big part for like social.
Mm-hmm.
So like just to make sure like they start at a young age, thinking about things, making those good choices, and like that kind of leads to inability to like form good relationships. Like you just need to make sure like the kids are like really like being able to form good relationships and like talking to people that like will uplift them and like make them happy and do the right thing.
Yeah.
We talked about like the importance of like outside factors, like kind of for cognitive, like you need good schools and like a lot of it talked about like home environment and like that affects every aspect, like physical, like they need like kids who are growing up in like a kind of poor home environment don't often have that like safety, which can really affect their physical domains and like often leads to injury, or like they don't get the opportunity to have like sports to go to because they like can't afford them. So you need like to have a good home environment, like parents who are willing to like do stuff for their kids or like to take them out and exercise and like do this, like have time for things they need. And like it's important to have like good schools and good resources for the cognitive and like just overall like just having that good home life, like parents who work with you and study with you, like you need to have like like I know kids who like their parents have never read to them, so they're, you know, pretty old and they still like have such a hard time reading when they should be at like a such higher level. So like you need that positive home life to like start kids reading and doing their homework so that cognitive can improve. And for social and emotional, like, you know, abuse can be so harmful for kids. So we talked about how like just having that good home life, you know, access to like, or parents who are willing to care to like go to therapy if their kids need it for like emotional problems, or who like are willing to like get them going like exercising, going to the doctor for physical problems, you know. So just like really being able to like provide for your family, like kids who have a family that's able to provide for them and stuff like that. We talked about how like important that is and like how it really reduces the risks and stuff.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, that really is important, having that solid foundation, that home life. If that's in place, then it seems like they can kind of, I mean, not that the other issues aren't easy, but it seems like they're able to deal with it better if they've got a good home life, you know, and that good line of communication between them and their parents.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the main intervention that we can do is like have a good positive, like we can't make it for other people, but at least like in our own homes, make it a positive, uplifting, and
Yeah.
like I'm going to be a future teacher, so, and I think most people are in this class, and to like really as a teacher also to have like that positive environment for their kids, and like
Yeah.
like I think it's important to like watch for your kids and to like make sure they're watch out for your students to make sure they're really like okay, and like I think it's important to like get to know the students so you know their home life and know what you can do to help them and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's especially important for teachers to be aware of that and to help their students.
Yeah. No, that's pretty much all me and like the people I interviewed. Just like I don't know, having good activities to, like protect from harmful, like the risks and problems. There's like a lot of good activities,
Mhm.
and just
Yeah, like maybe create activities where them and their friends can be there, and in kind of a controlled environment where you know what's going on and it's a good activity for everyone to be doing.
yeah, for sure, and like just making yeah everyone can do it and everything.
Yeah.
Um, So we kind of already have done this, but like attempt to identify common elements of effective interventions targeted to different problems in different domains. Can conclude by sharing your best general insight or suggestions about effectively intervening to foster optimum development. So
Yeah, I think we kind of talked about that.
we kind of did that. Just I think for physical, you just really need to like make sure kids are active and like you have to watch them. Like you do have to set guidelines so they don't get injured. So like
Yeah.
there's importance of like not being too active where they're like harming themselves, and but you also have to like make sure they are being active so they're not harming themselves just sitting at watching like TV.
Yeah.
And I think a big one that I saw on like the discussion boards that like is harmful is media and like technology that I like didn't really discuss with my people I interviewed, but it's important to make sure that's not like controlling kids' lives or like bringing like that can really affect their emotional issues or like physical because they're not getting out, or like cognitive if they're not like watching anything good. So I think it's good to really like watch media, like watch for harmful media and like make sure
Yeah.
kids aren't being affected by that technology.
Yeah. Yeah, this semester I've taken more credits than I usually do, and it's been really hard managing to. Usually, I do my homework after I put my kids to bed at night,
Yeah.
and this semester, since I've taken more credits, I've had to do some during the day, and it's been hard because I'm like, well, you know, my kids have got to do something, and so I try to get them to, you know, play games or color or puzzles or something, and most of the time they're just not interested, and so I'm not going to make them. Well, most of the semester it's been really cold outside, so I'm not going to go make them play outside in the snow all day. So they don't really have much other than watching TV, and so, but yeah, but I try to make sure that they're watching like somewhat educational shows like the Letter Factory videos. I think those are pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. I know if you just let kids watch whatever, most of the time they don't even know what they're watching. They just
Mhm.
and they don't understand it, so you really have to pay attention.
Yeah, for sure. Um, I think another important thing, and we already discussed this, but like just good activities for kids, like whatever.
Hmm.
In one of my classes, we discussed how to help like kids who get into trouble, and we talked about one of the key things is like the difference between, well, it's a culture and diversity class, so it like talks a lot about like kids who are in poverty or like race and like everything, and it talked about how one of the like key things to those kids who get in such trouble and everything is that like what's the difference between middle class people and like other people, and is that like middle class kids get after school activities, they have sports to go to, so there's kids that have sports to go to after school or like activities, or there's kids that don't have anything to go to, and they're the ones that
Yeah.
get stuck like in doing drugs or like doing those harmful things, and that's not always true, but it's a
Yeah,
definite
they just get bored.
it's a definite factor. So I think a good thing for kids is, especially young, is to get them interested in sports or to
Yeah.
get in any activity. If they're not into sports, like music or any kind of hobby that will like keep them occupied and keep them like developing like either the cognitive or like social and emotional or like physical to help
Yeah.
those domains improve. It doesn't matter which one is kind of their strong point, but I just think some activity, like having positive activities, really helps kids like stay, develop properly and like do better.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I don't know. Do you think we touched on everything?
I think so.
I'm worried about the time, but with two of us, like, we can't be
I know.
expected to fill all this time that she wanted us to.
Yeah, because I was thinking in hours for 4 people.
Yeah. I mean, we've been on
So,
for, we started at like 25.
so 25 minutes.
Mm.
So, I don't know. Maybe another, because 2 people should be 30 minutes, so another 5 minutes. I just don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah. Do you know if Stacy is in Mountain Time? Like, I just realized we say 7:15, but like,
Oh, yeah.
I don't
I
know. Like,
don't know.
I mean, I'm from
I don't
Virginia.
know.
Like, I'm in Idaho right now, but I'm from Virginia, so 7:15 would be like 2 hours ago.
Yeah. I
But
don't know. I'm in Idaho Falls, so I don't know.
I don't know. I'm sure she would have said something.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it's
Like she
fine.
did, I don't know. I know, yeah, I didn't make it to the other one, but I didn't let anybody know I wasn't making it.
Yeah, I know
So
that happened
I kind of
again.
just,
Just she
yeah,
didn't make it. I don't think can't remember who. I think it was just. I don't remember who made it.
might have just not made it. But like I know, like she was consistent doing our group project last week, so I don't know.
Maybe she just couldn't make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's nice.
Well, just it says in the final 2 minutes of the recording, have a group member summarize the highlights. So I think um so we mainly talked about the importance of like, well, you talked about how like parents really need to like work on like sharing with their kids and like what was that you said, like they just need to make sure they like devote enough time to each kid and everything.
Yeah, they need to. Well, yeah, and I think that's really important. I mean, like for a family, there's not going to be time. It always seems like they want your time at the same time. You can only help one at a time usually, and so I think it's really important throughout the day just to have alone time with each kid, so that way they feel heard and their needs are getting met, and they can, I don't know, they can really feel love from the parents. But especially with like sharing time and that goes with sharing time. But I think the biggest thing is to have children at a young age to start talking about how they feel. And if they can express how they feel, then they can start to understand how other people feel, and then they can be, I don't know, I think be more mindful of other people's emotions, and it helps with sharing in general. But I think, that will just give them more benefits, like when they go to school, like, oh, okay, like it's not all just about me, like maybe she feels this way, I need to include her, and I think that maybe could tie into like preventing bullying and different things like that.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And I talked about like unstable home environment, which kind of goes along with yours a little bit, just like I don't know, making sure kids are okay at home, like getting the attention, which I mean, I think we can't rely on parents for that one, obviously, but I think it's important as like adults that can influence kids to make watch for those kids that are struggling and know kind of what their home life situation is, and then work on the parents that are like affecting that. And like I think it's important to like make sure we're really encouraging positive families and like marriage and like having trying to help both things. That really goes with the church and like our standards with the church and like what we believe, I think.
Yeah.
But just like really trying to help those kids with therapy and like they just need something stable. So try like if you're that parent like positive figure, like helping like school be like somewhere they feel at peace and comfort, or like if they are lucky enough to be involved in like any activity, like make sure that place is where they feel stability and peace. And just like they need help, like we can't help them in the home, but like if we're an adult figure outside their home, like really try to help them there and like make sure that's better. And like those unstable home like really causes depression and like anxiety and like really like leads to all those emotional factors that really aren't good. So just therapy is a great thing to do, and like counseling. So just if I don't know, like we can't control the parents, but like trying to like keep that in mindset.
Yeah.
And then we talked about just really fast the importance of activities for kids and like positive activities, like no technology, well like technology, but like trying to like help it be good technology and like uplift and not too much of it or whatever.
Yeah.
And just talked about the importance of good friends for kids and like good, I don't know what else. I think that's pretty much all, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, I think that was a summary of everything we talked about.
Yeah, pretty much.
Do you have anything more to say?
I don't think so.
I think
I had a thought when you were talking about teachers, but like I was thinking, like I remember in high school, like I came from a big blended family, and it wasn't always easy. And I remember having specific teachers that I liked more than others because they were there to listen and they actually made me feel like they cared. And so I think it's a good thing for the teachers to just be there for their students and be that consistency that they need that they don't have in the home, and kind of recognize that in the kids that need it most.
Yeah, I for sure think, teachers are a big one because they're the ones who are actually with the kids. Like, I think besides parents, teachers are with the kids the most, and they're the ones that, like, if their home life or something's going on that, the parents can't handle, teachers are one of the ones that notice they have emotional issues or something because they're kind of with the kids, or they notice the bullying aspects and can help with that because they're the ones with the kids that are in that situation. So, like, for me, training to be a future teacher, like, really caring and, like, really knowing the students and, like, watching them and trying to, like, help them is big important for me. And are you going to be a teacher? Is that...
No.
Okay.
I just have a general studies major, and so I took a lot of home and family classes. I just liked learning about children. So.
Yeah, gotcha. Well, I just think besides parents, teachers are probably the second best to help with interventions and like seeing the problems and preventing the problems. So that's just another.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this with me. I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
No, you're logging on. I'm glad I don't have to talk to myself.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna stop broadcasting right now.